Hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Worth Your Time, Worth Your Money, an ongoing segment where I look at the opening hours of new and upcoming games. And today we're having a look at Godbreakers. Kind of hilariously, I'm recording this again. I pretty much did a full recording, but I got too excited and meandered and waffled and it started to really bloat out. So here we are going again, and I'll try and keep it a bit tighter because there's some cool stuff to cover. There's a lot of cool stuff to cover. This game is outrageously good. Let's just make that very, very clear. I didn't know what to expect going in. I am a bit prudish about what you would call Risk of Rain 2 likes. I mean, the music I use in my videos is from Risk of Rain, in case you haven't noticed, right? So other enjoyers, you probably live that same life that I do, where you're apprehensive giving anything that looks like it's going for the king's crown, which is to say Risk of Rain 2, because they always miss it. They don't get it. They fall short, or, you know, they have a gimmick or a one-off gimmick or whatever. So Godbreakers is probably the best shot at the king I have seen yet. So this is very high praise. Lock in, assume the gamer position, because I'm about to share with you a really, really good game if you're enthusiastic about these sort of action roguelites. As far as pedigree, just really briefly, To the Sky is the name of the dev. I have no idea who they are. They've never done anything before. Doesn't look like they have a back catalogue. Thunderful Publishing has them. They've got some misses in their catalogues, but they've got some stuff that I really love. Like all of the Steam World games are under Thunderful. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's where they got their go before they became a publisher. Planet of Lana comes to mind. There's a Lego Brick Tales game in there as well. Anyway, they're a cool publisher. I like them. They've really struck gold with Godbreakers. So to understand why this is so good, there's a few layers to the onion. Really quickly, I think there's two pillars to what makes Risk of Rain 2 is so incredibly excellent that a lot of people just don't fundamentally understand. They probably never thought about it, which is a shame because these are the developers not getting it usually. One is the moment to moment, the 10-second loop, right? The sort of thing championed by Halo designers. You got to be able to, you know, throw your grenade, fire your mag, reload your thing, duck in, charge your shield. You know, you got to capture that 10 seconds, you got to nail it, and then you got to rinse and repeat it a bazillion times and trick the player into just doing it non-stop. Risk of Rain gets it, Godbreakers gets it. Very different loop, even though it's still a third-person action roguelite type game. This is melee heavy, and it works excellently, even though it doesn't have things like character lock-on. In fact, despite that, and changing my position, but we'll probably come back to that. The second pillar is what I would call runaway scaling. It's important in these kind of rung-based roguelites, and a lot of games really don't get it, including like you Slay the Spire card deck builder type games, right? It's always about delicate balance, and that's fine, and you could argue that's kind of the essence of the card builder, right? But when it comes to these action ones, 0 to hero is really important to just nailing it, and that's where a lot of them really get it wrong, and Godbreakers gets it right. It really does reward you for starting to channel a build and steer it in a certain direction. And then when you mix that with your own ability to nail the combat interplay, it becomes an incredibly satisfying loop from start to finish. The combat feels good. When the rewards drop, that feels good. You move on, and all of this is happening very fast. And also, before I delve into the actual root of the combat and the core of the god breaking and all that sort of stuff, I will also point out this. So many devs these days in the indie space come up with a gimmick, come up with a party trick or hook, an elevator pitch, and that's all they ship. The rest of it is minimum viable product, probably in early access, charge a few dollars and hope that they move enough copies. That might sound cynical, but I'm the one that does this all the time. This is what I see all the time. It's becoming rarer in that indie space to actually have a fully fledged, developed, considered game from top to bottom. All the mechanics, all the aesthetics, all the moving parts. It's becoming kind of accepted tragically that, oh, it's an indie game, so it can be pretty much shit except for the one thing. So Godbreakers doesn't do that. All of this game is excellent. The aesthetic you might not necessarily like personally. You know, it has a bit of an exaggerated, cartoonized, I don't know what to say, Fortnite come Pixar look to it, I guess, but it's beautiful. All the design, the characters' designs are varied. The bosses are excellent. The telegraphic visually of all the animations is so spot on. And beyond that, another telegraph that you don't talk about very often is on your character model. So you pick up items like shoulder pads and legs and all that, and You can see it all on your character, and it looks really good. And that's a reward feedback telegraph. It's not a moment-to-moment action telegraph, but I still think it's very important for the person that, you know, in the middle of your screen that you're bloody looking at for the entirety of your playthrough, gives you some sort of visual reward feedback for the rewards that you get. But beyond that, you know, the soundtrack is outrageously good. It's orchestral in the same sense that you would expect this in a AAA JRPG type game. It has no right to be this good. I was so surprised. There's something almost, I don't want to say old school because that evokes retroism, but there's something about this that feels not even like games from 10 years ago. Same thing. I'm not going for a dated. I'm going for when quality control was actually part of a game developer's lexicon. This game feels really good because the developers worked hard to nail every part of it. Anyway, there we go. Waffling, gushing, glazing, done. Let's talk about the actual combat. So it's melee specific. You pick a archetype, a class. They're very different and varied. You only start with 2. I've unlocked, I think, 1 more, and there might be like 5 or 6 total by the look of it. The way that they're constructed is fairly simplistic, but still varied. It's not a character action game where you have a huge combo chain. You know, left, right, jump, whatever. You know, it's not like that. In fact, the way that the game plays, you probably won't have time for that. Finding that moment to weave your kidney punch in amongst all the telegraph dodging is the essence of this game, and it feels really good when you nail it. So the first dude is kind of like a spear guy, and he's pretty much got a jab, left click, and then a right click attack, and you can combo that into left, right, pretty much. In fact, that's generally the rule for most of the characters. Left, right is as complex as it will get. You can do standalone right for a big charge attack. Sometimes you can charge the right a click, but it's very much a case of choosing your moment. You will not get away with more than a second window. And the second dude, which I really like, he's got this like giant caber 2-hand bloody log thing. He does get rewarded for like squeezing in a super heavy charged attack, but the frequency that you'll pull that off is just very, very rare. So you don't lock onto characters. It's not like a Souls-like combat type game. And again, it's this very snipped down, get your little jabs in, as opposed to like a character action combo chainer. So where the gameplay comes from is that the enemies have very overt telegraphs. They have character animation telegraphs, which is to say, like there'll be a dude charging up a punch, pulling his arm back. So you have to look at the model and see that basic attack. But then they also have their kind of super attacks, right? Which will be an area of effect. It'll be a cone or a column jumping across the map or a laser charging up. Incredibly well telegraphed, big red bloody blotches on your screen. So between knowing the animations of the individual characters and also seeing the red no-go zones and the timings around them, you're dodging and flipping around, which, to go full circle and put a bow on it, this is why locking onto a character would suck in this game. And at first, like I said, I was a bit prickly. It's like, oh, why is there no character lock? Character lock is compulsory for third-person action games. No, wrong. This game's designed without it, and it would suck if it had it. So you're flipping and dodging and weaving and trying to jam in your little jabs and get your little character combos. Like I said, the first character is more about really just quick jabs and trying to charge up his Godbreaker ability. We'll talk about that in a sec. The second character is much more heavy. He has kind of barriers and charges and that sort of stuff. I unlocked this duelist assassin, which has like a sort of shotgun with a couple of bullets on the right click. And by doing left click attacks, you will charge up those bullets, and you also get like a very long cooldown reload. So that's very much about get your jabs in and weave these very powerful shotgun shots in as well. Very cool, man. I'm very impressed with it. And these are builds, that sort of build is not something I would normally go for in a game, but it might have been my favorite, honestly. So you're doing that, they'll have like class abilities. You'll have some abilities that you can equip along the way. And then you have this Godbreaker Gimmick, right? Which I shouldn't say gimmick. I mean, I guess it's the namesake, that's why I said it. It's actually really well considered, and it weaves incredibly well in with all that stuff I've just talked about. Basically, you have like an EX bar that you charge as you fight. You get your jabs in, you dodge around, you charge your bar up. Once it hits 100%, you'll start to notice that on enemy health bars, they'll have like delineated a darker and a lighter red. So it marks a cutoff point. So if you knock them down to like 1/3 health, almost Pokemon-esque, you'll actually be able to cash in your EX bar to hit a button to possess them. It's like an instant kill execution that you can jump out of early as well. So you don't have to sit in it for the full 3 seconds. If you see a telegraph's going to hit you as soon as you jump out, you can jump out early. So it's really, that's part of the interplay as well. But that gives you a one-shot racial ability. Maybe it's a dude that charges a big punch or charges a big gunshot across the map. You get that ability once. It's very powerful. You weave it into your fight. Once you do that, your EX bar goes back to 0 and you charge it back up. So you're weaving in your little jabs. You're weaving in whatever abilities you started with or that you pick up along the way. You're trying to proc synergies, a lot of dots in this game, which makes sense when you think about what I've explained, where you're not necessarily wailing on a character non-stop, but more jabbing them every couple of seconds. Putting dots on them makes a lot more sense. Damage over time if you don't know what a dot is. And then you're weaving in these Godbreaker one-shot abilities. Now this isn't even to mention that all the character designs are really cool, the different biomes are great, the bosses are excellent. I think they're just really well designed, and again, this exaggerated Pixar animation is so well done that it's a delight to watch them, but also read the animations. I haven't talked about the upgrading too much because it does have a bit of runaway power scaling like Risk of Rain. It's not quite as excessive as that. I would argue that this focuses much more in the technical moment to moment and the evading mechanics, whereas Risk of Rain is more about just stack as much crap as you can and turn into a giant bloody Tesla monster that kills everything on the map. With this, you have like equipment that you can wear and that telegraphs on your character and gives you different bonuses, which can be quite significant. That's how you get like a build going. But more interestingly, you kind of have this grid in your inventory. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like a table of 16, 20 different abilities, probably more. And these are just things like, 1% fire damage or 1% crit chance increase or 1% health increase, right? And normally I'm not big on the 1% increases on a game. I find it to be a cop-out, but that's usually because they're meted out not very, quickly. I'm thinking of a lot of ARPGs and Diablos and things like that. In this, every second monster drops a 1% of something that goes in this table. So every couple of minutes, you're getting an extra dot, an extra 1% chance of bloody chain lightning coming out of you, or burn debuffs, or reflect, or whatever. And occasionally you can choose which ones you pick up, and you can sell them at shops and buy more as well. So essentially you've got all these different incremental upgrades that you'll see in most of these games, but you're getting them at a really high rate that you sort of accidentally start building up a bit of a power build. And then from that, you can fine tune it and try and direct the river as it goes down the mountainside and turn that into some sort of build yourself. Like I said, these videos getting away from me, as I want to do when there's a lot to explain, and I'm kind of excited to explain it. Godbreakers is really good. Not that I expected it to be bad, but again, to go full circle to the beginning, if it looks like it's a Risk of Rain type game, usually in this industry, in this space, in this time period, it's not good. It's derivative. It's trying to cash in on success that it doesn't understand. Godbreakers is one of the best attempts I've seen at taking its shot. It's really good. I'm looking forward to playing more of it. You should check it out. I didn't even mention that you can play it 4-player co-op. I wonder how that would go, to be honest. Risk of Rain is a lot more split looting and all that. I'll go over here, you go over here. It's kind of like tactically dissecting the map to get through it fast in multiplayer. This is much more of a gauntlet down a corridor. So I feel like the interplay with co-op partners might actually be a lot tighter. But it's hard to say. It's not something I can really speak on. Anyway, let's wrap it up there, team. Might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.